Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about the shift that has been long awaited in the ZZZ community and finally looks like is happening. Content creators for the game are finally starting to speak out against the rampant HP inflation, power creep, and dog shit mechanics getting added by the devs that are ruining Zenless Zone Zero, ruining its endgame, and ruining its future for a majority of the player base. You have one of the biggest CCs for the game. I think ALG might be one of, like, the top 3 or 4, top 2 or 3, honestly, to be honest, ZZZ creators. And he's come out with a thought piece. A short one, but also a sweet one, because he actually had a whole dedicated live stream talking about the issues with Zenless Zone Zero's endgame. And if you think that I'm lying, no, he had an entire 2-hour, 43-minute live stream talking about how ZZZ's endgame is getting worse. So I think that this is like a condensed overview of his thoughts and his takeaways regarding the matter. And I'm just glad to see another CC finally doing all of this after I called out these same exact practices 5 months ago from the game. The landscape of content creation for ZZZ is clearly a lot different. I got lambasted by the community. I got publicly harassed on multiple social media simply for making the take that Hoyoverse was, causing some troubles in the game. And if you want some proof, let me just go over to the Zenless Zone Zero subreddit and look up my name. And I'll have something to show you guys. This dude, Saint, is a tourist. Holy moly. When I talked about how ZZZ has an HP inflation issue 6 months ago. HP inflation isn't real. He's just bad at the game. 6 months ago. And now, every single person in this community is saying HP inflation, power creep is a problem. Landscape is clearly different. That's why I think it's a lot more comfortable for creators to come out and actually voice their concerns on the matter. It took a while for it to occur, half of a year, but we're finally there. So let's see what the take is.
I love Zenless Zone Zero, but recently it's been feeling a little less fun. And I did a very unstructured stream the other day, and I want to apologize. Not for anything that I said, but for the unstructured way that I said it.
One thing that ALG said a lot during his stream, and don't worry, I saw parts of it, was that he felt bad about how doom posty, about how like doomer, negative his stream was. And I am so glad that he opens up this stream by just saying, I don't apologize for what I said. I apologize for the structure and the way I said things, but the actual content, the actual concerns, the issues, the power creep, all of that, there was nothing wrong with that piece. So, I mean, it's awesome that that's the only disclaimer that he has here.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distill my...
Okay, why did he do like a super villain laugh there? Wait, let me just catch that again. That was pretty evil. That was pretty evil.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distill my points in a few minutes, and then you can make the call as to whether or not you agree with me or not. Please do remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, for the algorithm. Anyway, first things first then, let's start talking about why Endgame feels less fun. So Endgame currently feels less fun because it's harder and harder to play the way that you want to play.
Brother just opened up an HP inflation chart.
And part of the cause of this is HP inflation. So this graph here is showing the HP from where it was and when Deadly Assault started back in 1.4.
Hey, pro tip, ALG, if you're going to be covering graphs, motherfucker, put an X and a Y axis. I don't even know how you made this shit without a labeled X and Y axis. How does that even work? How do you even do that?
All the way up to now. And you can see it started under 200 million, like 190 million.
So X-axis is every single, I think, it might be Shiyu defense, it might be Deadly Assault, but the X-axis over here is, each point is a separate reset, right? That's why there's kind of a bit of a gap and a line between them. Each point is like a separate reset, and on the top is the HP.
Ish HP, and it's...
Oh, and this is Deadly Assault. Woo!
Now over 330 million HP. So it's a pretty big increase. And pushing the HP up like this is making the game a little harder each time it happens. And it's a little bit difficult sometimes to call it out when this is happening. And we have been saying for a little...
It's difficult to call it out while it's happening, That's why I made so much of an effort across the history of my channel, across so many ZZZ videos, to call it out. That's why I made so many repeated exposés on ZZZ's HP inflation across the past 6 months. Because it's hard to see it in the moment. You need to see the data. I brought the data, but then everyone said it wasn't real and that you're just bad at the game. And now, because that excuse that got coined by this toxic, positive, dog shit community, you were not able to actually discuss the real issues of the game for literally months. Because this is what would happen to you. You say the game's going down a bad path, they just say you're bad at it, and then publicly try to shame you in their community. On repeat. And so why would another CC dare to cover the HP inflation issue, dare to cover the power creep issue, if this is what's going to happen to anybody that critiques the game? Why do you think it's taking so long for these videos to come out? It's because this community has a massive fucking toxic positivity problem. And I'm glad that there's at least creators trying to fix it with content like this.
A little while that, you know, oh, it's something that we need to keep an eye on. And I think now it's reached a tipping point where it's like, okay, this is definitely a pretty big problem now. It's not just HP that's the problem, though. It's also the boss design. And I'll explain. So the bosses are being designed in a way where they work with very specific characters or very specific teams. And what this is doing is it's limiting player creativity, flexibility, and expression by meaning that you have to run certain teams into certain bosses.
Isn't that lovely? Here in Wuthering Waves, we're bitching and moaning about the fact that certain characters work better with each other. Imagine if you needed a character to fight a boss. Imagine if the new False Sovereign, right? That dude. Imagine if he just didn't take damage at all unless you used arrow erosion on him. Imagine if Mia just didn't take damage until you applied Spectrofrazzle. That is what ZZZ's endgame actually is. It's like your characters don't work, but there's one character on the roster that interacts just properly with the boss's mechanics and then makes them fightable. ZZZ also has the character matching system too, right? Where certain characters work a lot better with each other, right? On top of that, they make character-specific bosses. Wuthering Waves players really don't know how good they have it when the other AAA budget gacha games in the genre are actually just doing the digital equivalent of like fisting you to be able to play the fucking game.
Now, stay with me here, because right now, at 330 million total HP, I think the Defiler specifically has like 99 million HP, and you can still brute force the Defiler with anomaly teams. However, the boss does not exist in isolation without the context of this history. And the history here is telling us that the HP is going to go up on that boss. And it's going to go up on Fiend, and it's going to go up on Priest, and it's going to go up on Dead End Butcher. And that means that as that boss HP goes higher, it gets harder and harder for players to express creativity and to play the game the way that they want to play it.
So basically he's saying, right now, HP inflation is technically not insurmountable because you can barely scrape by brute forcing with a heavily invested team. But because they literally increase the HP every single reset, the next reset, that brute forcing will literally not be possible unless you pull dupes of characters. Because there's only a certain point, right, where your investment can go on the disk drive side, on the weapon side. And it slowly gets to a point where the only way to further increase your damage is to literally purchase dupes. You actually have fully invested DPS teams, fully built characters, but because it's not the right DPS, you can't clear without top-level investment. Guys, it's just drawing comparisons to Wuthering Waves, right? It's like taking a fully built Cartithia team into the TOA, and you clear in 1 minute and 50 seconds. You have 10 seconds left until you get a 2 Dorito clear. You took the full premium Cartithia team, everybody with weapons, Chakota 2, and then you end up with a 150 clear. And then when you use the right team, you have a 1 minute clear. That is ZZZ's endgame. And people are telling you, because you're still clearing at 150 with a Cartithia team, HP inflation's not real. It's not a problem. And then when HP inflation strikes again, Cartithia's team that was clearing at 150 is now going to clear at 210. It's not a 3 Dorito clear anymore. And we're telling you, this is what's going to happen. And again, I'm putting into woo-wah terms so it's easier for woo-wah players to understand. ZZZ's already at that point. ZZZ has already been there. There are teams that don't clear anymore that used to clear. And that's the thing. It's just, you're at the point in this game where you have all these characters, all these teams that 2 months ago were clearing all of the content. And the game community, for some godforsaken reason, now that it's 3 months later and the HP inflated, you can't clear anymore. They're saying it's your fault that you can't clear anymore. There are some good eggs like ALG telling you it's the dev's fault and that's a dev concern. But this part of the community that's just going to call you a tourist still exists. And you want to know a big part of it? It's because of this dude. Y'all remember this dude, right? Let's take a look at some of the older videos that were made on the EO channel, ladies and gentlemen. The HP inflation conversation is a joke. You want to know what he literally says in this vid? You're just bad at the game. HP inflation is actually good because it lets you express more skill. And if you're somebody that isn't happy about HP inflation, hey, just get better at the game, little pup. Just get better at the game. That was the narrative from every single ZZZCC that was willing to talk about the issue, actively killing the game. They just told you you needed to play better, have crispier rotations, swap like a freak. Let's just ignore the fact that all of the teams that you're now struggling with cleared before. You just gotta play better, bro. And these guys just spread this dog shit narrative for months and converted this community into a toxic, positive fucking mess that just spams this to anybody, saying that there's a problem with it. It's a skill issue. Get better. You're just trash at the game, little bro. Oh, you can't play properly. Sate made a bad take about Zenless Zone Zero. Oh, I forgot this dipshit too. Flossing on you. Is he still making videos? Oh, see, Doom posting. Everyone said the character is shit though. Hey, where's the HP inflation video? Where's the HP inflation video, Flossin? Where that, bucko? Did we delete it? No, it's still here. Everyone's wrong about HP inflation. Were we? Or is this just a toxic positive narrative because these guys are desperate to gain any viewership possible and they decided to blindly shill the fucking game to get any fucking possible view and then cater to this dog shit discussion instead of actually trying to fix the game that you are basing your career on? This was such a short-sighted, disgusting maneuver by all these CCs. Desperately shill against the mechanics that are killing the game for the game that you're trying to be a main CC for and a game you're trying to build a career around. Why? This is like owning a farm, having farm animals, and then killing the cow that you're milking every day to sell the milk just so you can have steak one night. But these guys just love doing it. But I love calling that shit out.
And it forces us to use the specific teams that the game wants us to use against these bosses, which for me feels less fun. It also becomes a much steeper learning curve for people coming in, and it's going to...
I don't even know why he has to explain this. Yes, being forced to pull characters to be able to clear content feels like shit. Not being able to use the characters that you like, and the characters whose kits you enjoy, and the characters whose movesets you jive the most well with, not being able to use them because of an arbitrary restriction the devs have put in feels fucking terrible. The fact you have to explain stuff like this to the ZZZ audience is such a fucking joke.
Become harder for players to pull all of the characters they need for these teams, potentially. Especially if the HP continues to go up, then the idea of normalizing 2 or 3 limited S ranks per team will be something that happens. And that's where I am about the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is
just a normal, well-reasoned take that anybody who has cursory experience in gacha games and isn't like bootlicking a company, he has just the regular take. I don't want to be forced into pulling or playing characters I don't want to pull or play. I want to be able to have some level of comfort with a baseline roster. I don't want restricted mechanics that fucking ruin the experience for me. That's just a regular gamer. That's just a regular take. That is the average person. Anyone who is against that idea, quite literally, is a shill.
I'm going to share with you here what I'm going to send on the feedback survey, and I'm going to do it right after I've recorded this.
Make that fucking
You
bigger,
know, open the game,
motherfucker.
go in,
What? Does the fucking Hubble Space Telescope come with this video? What the fuck? I'm like trying to zoom in on a YouTube vid.
Leave feedback at any time, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna send this.
How does he even read this?
And I'm gonna leave it pinned down below, and you can do what you want. But I'm gonna read it out. HP inflation has been aggressive recently. It's happening to...
Okay, thank God he's doing that. Thank fucking God.
HP inflation has been aggressive recently. It's happening too fast. There's a necessity for it in gacha games, but it needs to slow down in ZZZ.
The time of HP inflation being a necessity in ZZZ is over. That ship has sailed. Anyone still regurgitating that excuse in the present is actually just full of shit.
Because it is limiting creativity and team building and making the endgame feel less fun. I understand that the current rate of HP inflation is to turn low spenders into dolphins and dolphins into whales.
Yep. Cash grab.
However, we will likely lose many players that can't or don't want to invest any more real money from the speed of HP increase.
It's not even about having to invest more money. It's the fact that their previous expenditures are now useless. The game has not been out long enough for previous expenditures on characters to be invalidated. Like, if you pulled 1.0 or 1.1 characters, you're just like, when's the last time you used a fucking Ching Yi? Be honest with yourself. When was the last time Ching Yi was used? When was the last time Jane Doe was used? How do you already have units? Not even 2 years into launch, how do you already have units that feel power crept and bad? Ching Yi, Zhu Yan, fucking Jane Doe, don't they just feel bad knowing that you have Alice out? You have all these other characters out that just feel better? Why would you ever use Ching Yi when you have Trigger? Why would you ever use Jane if you have Alice? How? Already? How? Are there already characters that you feel like you wasted money on?
If the amount of HP inflation is lessened, more players are more likely to stay, resulting in longer-term players and overall higher returns.
Trigger is not a Ching Yi power creep. They're different characters. Oh, okay. Okay. Let me just explain this. Okay, so Trigger is not Ching Yi power creep. They're different characters. They just happen to both be electro stun units, and just everyone plays Trigger and nobody plays Ching Yi. That's just a fact about the situation, is that Trigger's getting spammed and nobody plays Ching Yi, and they're both electro stun characters. And so this is the thing. Yes, they support different teams. It's just all of Ching Yi's teammates are from 1.0 and 1.1, and those characters suck cock because they got power crept, and they're dog shit compared to every other character in the game. So, like, that's the situation, is that Ching Yi partners up with older DPSs that also got power crept, while Trigger works with the newer characters who are broken. You still have people defending this. You still have people defending the balance of ZZZ when you actually have characters that are actually useless. There's a debate in the community that Trigger is doo-doo. Oh, those are probably people that don't have her signature because they locked a part of Trigger's kit behind her signature. Yeah, she has defense ignore for the entire team locked behind her weapon.
I feel like talking about money might just get through. I want to echo what I said at the start. I love this game. I want it to get better. I want to carry on playing it. And portions of the player base might very well think this is just skill issue.
He's not wrong. If you dare to critique ZZZ, you dare to critique its power creep, you dare to critique its character-specific mechanics on bosses, you dare to critique miasma, well, they'll just say you're bad at the game. They'll just say, repeatedly, over and over and over again, this is a real aged like milk moment over here, ladies and gentlemen. All you gotta do is look at this thread, look at all of the stuff these people are saying, and it's just, that's all the discussion is. This guy is simply bad at the game, and so the numerical data of HP going up isn't actually real. Calls to mass brigade my video because I dare to speak about what was wrong in the game. Spam skill issue and spam dislikes. That's the only way they're able to communicate. Woo-wah player here. We do not like this guy, and his channel has been bleeding subs since his beef with Pokey. When I had my beef with Pokey, guys, I was at like around 50k subs. I'm currently at 80 something. They will actively spread lies about you, say skill issue, and then demand that your videos are brigaded when you just point out the HP inflation, the numerical data of their HP going up. That's this community. That's what it was 6 months ago. That's what content creators like Flossin' on You, EOXS, Rezi, Loki, that's the community that these guys wanted. They liked it. Literally farming toxic positivity to the highest possible fucking degree. Like, oh my lord, bro. Oh my god. Looking at this thread 6 months later, seeing the damage the other creators have done to the space, seeing the damage this community, social media has done to the space, look how many comments there are of people that are just fucking... This is how much people wanted to defend their game. This is how much people wanted to dogpile on somebody critiquing their game. This is the level of toxic positivity that this community was expressing 6 months ago. And so part of this is kind of like defense for ALG, right? How can you blame the guy for not really speaking up on this earlier? I don't really think you can. Because this is the thing. I was comfortable talking about the issue. I had no issues at all with people in the ZZZ community spreading misinfo about me, trying to assassinate my character, basically spreading lies about me in the community. I had no problem with that because ZZZ is not my main game. ZZZ was not a game that I was like frequently uploading content on. And so the community deciding to dogpile on me, try to sabotage my reputation, wasn't too much of a concern. But for creators like this, who only upload ZZZ content, whose main game is ZZZ, they haven't branched out, talking about HP inflation as a ZZZ creator 6 months ago was career suicide. You were effectively ending your own career because the community was being cultivated by toxic positive clowns at every single opportunity, and they effectively banned any critical discussion about the game. And if you were a creator that decided to critique what needed to be critiqued, you would be canceled. Your career would be ruined. If ALG talked about HP inflation 6 months ago, I don't think he would still be uploading ZZZ videos. I think he would have gotten ousted out of the community because that's what they tried to do with me on my very first video ever talking about the issues with the game. The community has actually healed. The community is now more accepting of this discussion, but the only reason why they're more accepting of this discussion is because the game is already ruined. The damage is already done. The players have already left. People have already quit. You've waited until the damage was so severe that you're literally noticing all the views on all the videos go down. CCV on the live streams going down. Absolutely no EN streamers for the game that are regularly streaming the game on platforms. You have like 1 or 2 people to watch. 200 viewers on... Is it at 200 viewers right now on Twitch? As I said before, I said this average viewer number was going to drop off of a fucking cliff once the start of the patch was getting close to over. Yeah. Yeah. It does regularly hit 200 viewers. They decided to wait until now to finally shift as a community, but they decided to wait until everyone has already left because of the issues that they refuse to speak about and that they effectively censored at risk of you getting canceled as a CC. And unfortunately, making videos about me, making videos about how bad my takes were, farming that toxic positivity, that was easy views. Because these CCs have absolutely, I'm just gonna be honest, this to me is an example of absolutely zero integrity. Willing to sacrifice the future of your game to farm easy views via toxic positivity. Mortgaging the future of your game to just farm toxic positivity. Here, there, everywhere. It's such a shame. Because the game, I made so many videos on the game because I thought I had potential. But now, all I do is farm it because it's dead.
Except the numbers are going up, the direction is clear, and we could all end up playing the same teams against whatever bosses they design for those teams. And that just sounds way less fun. ZZZ is a skill-based game that rewarded player expression and skill. And I feel like that could go away. ZZZ deserves better. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't have anything to add, then just...
I think ZZZ as a game deserves better. I don't think the ZZZ community deserves a better game. That'll be my takeaway. I think the ZZZ community got the game that it deserves, but actual ZZZ fans do deserve better. But the community as a whole, this is like leopards ate my face moment over here. Reviewing that Reddit thread has to be one of the most cathartic experiences on the planet. Seeing all of these people who had the blinders on, who were intentionally misleading themselves so that they could say a game was better than it really was. And, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We've gone full circle. The community is well and wholly completely fucked. And I don't even know what the future of this game honestly is anymore. Because, yes, there are people calling it out. I applaud them for it. But it's like, the game, when you look at how the community was engineered, when you look at the content creators that were, you know, in it, maybe it was just doomed from the start. Maybe there's a reason why no established gacha CC touched this game with a 30-foot pole. Maybe there's a reason why nobody that already was covering Hoyoverse games decided to cover ZZZ too. It's all new CCs. It's all new creators. There's a reason for that. Maybe because of that, this community got ran off of a fucking cliff. And there are a lot of people you can thank for the situation that the game is in right now. That'll be that for this one. Once again, props to ALG for deciding to take such a risk with his perception in the community by uploading this video. But I think that at one point, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back. While I think the camel's back got broken months ago, I guess it's only breaking now for some members of the community. Let me know what you all thought. Peace.